Gather your family or a few friends, grab a mug of hot chocolate, and enjoy this virtual retrospective and behind-the-scenes peek into our gingerbread displays through the years. RLPS usually begins planning our gingerbread display in early fall, with active construction starting around Thanksgiving each year. We start by brainstorming concept ideas and ultimately define the design rules, which vary each year. These rules sometimes get stretched a bit by our creative teams, but they do help us make sure everything is designed to the same scale and fits in with the theme for the year. Within 2 weeks, our great room is magically transformed into an awe-inspiring landscape in miniature that, upon close inspection, is totally covered in food. In fact, it can take over 35 gallons of icing and 60 sheets of gingerbread made by Lancaster County Career and Technology students, along with numerous pounds of fondant icing, and hundreds of bags of candies, sprinkles, beans, crackers, chewing gum, pastas, cookies, and cereals to create the villages. Staff and family members spend many evening and weekend hours working to bring the display to life. It's not just the candy-coated structures and molded fondant icing figures that you see. There's much to be done behind the scenes, from the platform base and topography that varies widely from year to year, to other fundamentals like lighting and background sounds. And then there's often the moving parts, whether trains, ice skaters, a New Year's ball drop, or a chocolate fountain. 2020 is only the third time in 30 years when RLPS did not create a display. It all began as an idea to decorate our office for a holiday party in 1988 and enjoy some friendly inter-staff competition along the way. That blossomed into an annual tradition that is now shared with more than 2,000 people at our open houses each year. That first year, 18 gingerbread structures comprised the Home Sweet Homes Village. Although those first buildings and their surroundings were relatively simple by today's standards, it was the start of the RLPS gingerbread display tradition. The next year, 1989, the bar was raised by creating hot air balloons above a forest containing a ski slope with a functioning chairlift and train. The balloons were then donated to the Arthritis Foundation to help with the organization's fundraising efforts. Each year, the display grew in size, and in 1990, Sugarville, USA debuted as a 9-foot by 11-foot display lit 24 hours a day. It was situated in the front windows of our former office at 1910 Harrington Drive, so it could be shared with our neighbors and the community at large. 1991 was yet another departure from tradition, and we created gingerbread birdhouses instead of a village of buildings. In 1992, the display took another creative turn, and staff and families created life-size gingerbread and candy toys such as a robot and Noah's Ark that filled a candy-covered toy workshop. After our first hiatus in 1993, things turned whimsical in 1994 with a village full of unique architect-favorite buildings, such as a carousel, elephant, and lighthouse, all made of gingerbread and decorated with icing and candy. In 1995, the creations took to the air again, with gingerbread ornaments hanging from the rafters. These weren't simply small, flat ornaments on a tree. If you visited that year, you would have seen foot-tall, three-dimensional homages to Big Bird, Santa and his sleigh circling the earth, and Rudolph, just to name a few. A train was upgraded from being an accessory to serving as the focal point in 1996. Each team created a train car that, when strung together, became the Oreo Express, featuring a lifesaver tanker, Coca-Cola car with the iconic polar bears, and some familiar political candidates of the day. Our UPS driver even got in on the act with his own package truck car. Big City Christmas Parade was the theme of the massive display in 1997. Gingerbread parade floats filled the streets around an imagined city with skyscrapers reaching to the rafters. Clients, staff, historical figures, and even cartoon characters were represented in the miniature spectators along the parade route. In 1998, the nearby Route 30 highway construction had such an impact on our day-to-day commutes that we memorialized it in gingerbread. Our gingerbread construction, though time-consuming and sometimes tedious, still took a whole lot less time than the real highway construction. Who can forget the anticipation of the Y2K bug in 1999? That year, we created imaginary computer bugs working to shut down the world at the stroke of midnight 1999. Don't forget, each of these candy critters were still being made from food, so they weren't really going to wreak havoc on our office technology. We hoped. In 2000, we returned to a more traditional gingerbread village with The Coast of Christmas Past, reflecting a coastal New England town complete with a rock candy coastline and a church with stained glass windows. This marks the first year that each gingerbread house was lit from inside, creating a warm glow through each and every window. 2001 was a significant year for our country after the attacks of 9/11. And our gingerbread display reflected the patriotic theme, Sweet Land of Liberty. Details started to become more intricate, and storefront interiors, Uncle Sam on stilts, and fireworks over the Capitol building stole the show. 2002 returned to a mountainous site with Adirondack snowmen populating a village of candy log cabins. The ubiquitous train traversed a trestle bridge over a gingerbread ravine. A Krispy Kreme bakery and shop selling spare snowman parts after the spring thaw lent a humorous tone to this bucolic scene. Feature film Finding Nemo took the big screen by storm in 2003, and we couldn't resist the bright colors and crazy characters, so Season's Greetings emerged with an underwater theme of gingerbread creatures inhabiting a rainbow-hued coral reef. Such colorful characters as the literal chicken of the sea and a crab Santa with his seahorse reindeer charmed visitors. We looked to our hometown of Lancaster, Pennsylvania in 2004 with Nostalgic Noel, a gingerbread interpretation of downtown, complete with a gingerbread Fulton Theater, St. Nick newsstand, and an ode to our firm's previous home in a converted Lancaster house as Hock, Kaufman, Reese, and Beers architects. 2005 brought us a fairy tale Christmas, complete with a castle on the hill and shredded wheat thatched cottages scattered throughout the enchanted forest. There was even a giant Santa climbing a licorice beanstalk. Suburbia overtook RLPS in 2006 with Twinkletown, featuring ranch-style gingerbread houses and candy lawn ornaments galore. A tree lot, sledding hill, and ice skating pond remind many of us of our hometown suburban holidays from years past. Most are familiar with 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. In 2007, drawing from E.T.A. Hoffmann's fairy tale The Nutcracker and the Mouse King and Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Suite, we spent hours creating fanciful scenes featuring nutcrackers and mice formed from gingerbread, icing, and candy. Creative interpretations of candy construction on display include a chess set with mice created from walnuts, an oriental rug formed from juju beans, and a coconut fur cat hungrily surveying the dozens of candy mice. In 2008, we returned to the North Pole with Polar Expressions, featuring penguins who migrated from the South Pole to the more festive North, as well as elf houses and businesses such as Buddy's Big and Tall Elf Shop. We followed upon our second year without a gingerbread display in 2009 due to the economic downturn, with a gingerbread display without gingerbread. In 2010, over 32,000 white sugar cubes became the building blocks for Peppermint Bay, where all the structures were formed from sugar cubes and the candy decor presented a glowing, icy effect of midnight at the North Pole. Something else you might notice about 2010 is that we limited the color selection for all of our icings, candies, and other supplies to either white or red. You might think we used up every possible gingerbread idea by now, but you'd be wrong. After the ice of Peppermint Bay, we turned to a warmer locale for 2011. Sanibel Beach, a graham cracker boardwalk beach scene, is occupied by off-season snow people enjoying all your favorite beach activities, including snow cones, a rooftop miniature golf course, and moving carousel and Ferris wheel rides. We jumped back more than 100 years and across an ocean in 2012 with 19th century Victorian jolly old London town. Licorice and pretzel log Tudor buildings, brick chimneys, and their ubiquitous chimney sweeps abounded. This was the year that Magic Shop rabbits stole the show by multiplying and overtaking the display. We stayed in Europe for the 2013 Gingerbread theme, but our office moved to Valley Brook Drive, providing a bigger and better venue for our holiday display. We took advantage of the larger space with the 360-degree Italian ice hill town surrounded by water. Pasta Vespas, chocolate rocks, and gingerbread sailboats surrounded the town, which featured not only the Pope, but also a cliff-diving Santa. RLPS celebrated our 60th anniversary in 2014, so it was only fitting to make this year's gingerbread special. Instead of gingerbread, Frozen in Time featured glowing buildings made out of over 14,000 colored charms candies. Loosely modeled after Disney's Frozen, this year's theme focused on glowing lights and crystals in celebration of our Diamond Jubilee. We continued with the unique, but still food building materials in 2015 with Adirondack the Halls, a pretzel-filled community reminiscent of an upstate New York Grand Lodge resort. A kids' camp, moose lodge, and Olympic ski jump brought this one to life. The world above and below ground delighted visitors in 2016 with our larger-scaled Sweetscape, Anytown, USA street featuring heavily detailed candy storefronts, residences, sewers, and subways. Nearby summer resort town Mount Gretna celebrated its 125th anniversary in 2017, and we paid homage to this favorite locale with Gretna greetings, complete with the iconic playhouse, a moving parade, and the popular Jigger Shop restaurant. We entered the whimsical world of Dr. Seuss in 2018 with Merry Grinchmas and Happy Who Year, where a gingerbread Whoville, complete with all your favorite Seussical characters and even the roast beast, popped up in the middle of our office for the holidays. And finally, 2019 brought us to a larger-than-life Monopoly board, RLPS-opoly. Houses and hotels came to life on each property, and playful interpretations of beloved game pieces graced the 20-foot by 20-foot game board. In the spirit of continuing a bit of friendly holiday competition, and perhaps to prepare us for future displays, we'd love to have you tell us which year's theme was your favorite. You can comment on our social media pages, or if you like, access the survey we've set up to tally the votes. The survey link can be found on our website. We also encourage families and groups to help us spread holiday cheer by sharing your pictures and tagging us. Happy holidays from RLPS. We hope to see you again in person in 2021.